Hey guys, welcome to the KFO show, Kayak Fishing Obsessed. My name's Darren. I'm your host. You can find me at Wendell Fishing on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all those things. But if you want to get a hold of me, find me on YouTube. That's where I'm at most of the time. Guys, I'm excited tonight. We got Chris and Drew from the Paddlers Playbook with us, and I am pumped what they got to say. They've been doing this for a long time, a lot longer than I have. So it's going to be a good night. Before we get there, I want to talk a little, just thank our sponsor of the show, usrivermaps.com. Jeff is one of our listeners, starting up a small business. And if you can see over my shoulder here, boom, right here is the maps that he puts together, printed on canvas. And it's one of the most detailed river maps. So if you're into love that type of art stuff, check it out, usrivermaps.com. I'm not sure if this code works anymore. Jeff, if you're on and you're listening in, I think it was supposed to go through the end of the year. So I'm not sure to get $35 off works. Jeff, if it does, please chime into the comments. Let other people know that it does or does not. Guys, I'm excited. This is episode 11 of KFO, and we had a record show last week. We had over 1,000 streams, which is pretty good for episode 11. So you guys freaking rock. And we have quite the lineup. I'm booked. We got guests booked through March. So, of course, we got Chris and Drew tonight, Alex Rudd next week, Chad Hoover the following week on the 24th, Jeff Mallet from Kayak Bass Nation on the 31st. I'm working with Bass Geek to get him on February 7th. We got Yak Rods. February 14th, Valentine's Day. Go find yourself a date. February 21st, we got Fish Anything, owner of Mule Fishing Supply. February 28th, Benjamin Nowak. And on March 7th, months, we got Cast Crayon. But so I am pumped. Hopefully you guys are pumped too. But instead of talking about everybody that we have coming down the pipeline, let's talk about who we have on tonight. Drew, Chris, guys.
What up?
Welcome to the show.
Man? Look, I love your listeners already because one of the comments says, "Give Chris questions that require short answers."
Ooh.
You can tell that they listen to our show as well. That's awesome.
I'm not sure what that means. What's that even mean?
Chris doesn't give short answers.
Got it.
Let's see here. Drew used to be the long-winded one. I think something happened because you know what? I used to be the one that catches all the damn winning fish. Oh wait, can I say cuss words on here? Let's get that straight first.
You be you.
I used to be the one catching all the winning fish. Now I gave Drew the chance to catch all the winning fish, and he's no longer long-winded. Now I'm the one talking forever and ever and ever. Amen.
It's role reversal, man. It's role reversal.
Hey, I got a question though before Drew goes. Okay, go ahead, Drew.
Okay. Darren, next week when you have Alex on, ask him why he's not really allowed back at the Sonic. Just ask him that.
First question out of the gate.
Ask him that because it's a great story that he told on the Bass and Brews podcast the other day that we were all on.
You really got to get messed up to get kicked out of Sonic.
Well, he didn't get kicked out. Y'all just tune in next week to find out why. It's a little teaser. Why Alex is maybe getting the side eye whenever he goes to the Sonic, as he likes to say.
Ooh, all right. That'll be the first question. I'm going to catch him off guard. He's not even know it's going to come. First question. Hey, welcome to the show. I got a question for you, Alex. Boom.
Tell me about the Sonics.
The Sonic.
Yeah, tell me about the Sonic.
Well, guys, I was checking over your podcast. 4 seasons, 77 episodes, 100,000 downloads. Chill out.
Yeah,
tell me the journey.
We hit 100,000 this year. It's been crazy.
We found some people in Australia that like us.
Yeah, we get downloads in Australia and Ireland, and we have a pretty good following in Australia. There's a good group of it's about 150 downloads a month from Australia. So there's a good group of people who are downloading the show there.
They love redfish.
Yeah. And me and Chris are really proud of those numbers because we only put out a show every 2 weeks.
Okay.
So it's not like we're putting out a show every week. And, if we put out a show every week, I mean, we could, double those numbers, triple those numbers, quadruple those numbers. But we're really proud of it. Well, I mean, you're going to have your subscribers. They're going to. But one thing that we wanted to do from the very beginning was, we didn't want to oversaturate or take anything away from our shows. And we thought that if we did more shows more frequently, we would have a little less quality. So we wanted more quality over quantity. And plus, me and Chris both like to talk, and there's no way that our wives or anyone else is going to want us to talk for 2.5 hours every single week and then listen to us.
Plus, I like to cuddle my wife, and if I'm making an episode every single week, I ain't getting no cuddles.
Guys, you're going to get me in trouble. My wife is listening right now.
Well,
she's gonna wonder why I'm going every
You're
week.
only doing an hour. You're like, an hour, that's it. That's all we're doing. Like, we get on there on our show, and it may be an hour and 30 minutes. It may be 3 hours.
2
we
hours,
may have
2.5.
Yeah, we may have to cut it into a 2-part series.
Michelle asked me, she said, are you doing your podcast tonight or somebody else's? I was like, oh, we're guests on somebody else's podcast. Oh, you'll be done in about an hour.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
the real question was, are you going to be gone for 3 hours or 1 hour tonight? Yeah, I get that.
But to go back to where we started or how we started, there was a couple podcasts on whenever we started 3 years ago, fishing podcasts. There was just a few, and I wanted to start something to be not somebody but within the industry, but to have something to do with the kayak fishing industry. Suck at YouTube videos, like horribly, not very good at social media. So I really wanted to do a podcast, and I like the way that Chris tells it, because whenever I was going to Chris, like, hey dude, you want to do a podcast? Chris, what did you tell me?
What the hell's a podcast?
Yeah, Chris didn't even know what the hell a podcast was whenever I approached him with the idea of starting a podcast and talking about fishing. But one of the main reasons why I wanted to do it with Chris is me and him have difference of opinions. We're both pretty outspoken, but to be perfectly transparent, he's a DJ. He has a DJ business. I used to DJ. I know he has no trouble talking in front of people. He has no trouble articulating his thoughts. I don't think I have very much trouble articulating my thoughts and talking. So I knew that at the very least we would be comfortable in front of a mic, and we'd be comfortable talking, and we'd be comfortable interviewing people. And I think from the very beginning, that's what I knew that would work. Now, did I know we'd be 4 years, 100,000 downloads, everything else? No. But I knew that we would be able to be entertaining and be able to have a podcast and interview folks.
With a face like this, how'd you not know you were going to get 100,000 downloads?
I know, right?
Well, I knew with faces like these, we'd be great for podcasts where people don't have to see us. That's why we don't do video versions.
You'll notice something here, guys. There's 3 people here on this screen. 2 of them have beauty rings.
I do. That makes me beautiful.
Oh, yeah, I saw that when he was showing me his rod room.
Yeah, it makes us beautiful.
That was
talking about.
Look at these guys with their pretty lighting. I'm in here in the RV with RV lighting.
I got a little ring right here too.
Well, I can probably make myself glow.
Oh wow.
Yeah, let it up. So tell me a bit about. Okay, I mean, mine's not primarily a podcast, right? I just kind of hack it into a podcast afterwards. Tell me when the growth spurt kind of hit. Like, when did it take off? Because I keep hearing, and of course, I watched the YouTube videos on how to grow your podcast, so forth and so on. And they're like, okay, a lot of people quit right before that kind of S curve kind of takes off in outer space. When did you guys see that? And was there any particular moment that could have helped with that? Or I'm curious about the journeys, how people grow their kind of influence, and people who kind of follow.
I think it was right after we stopped sucking.
Oh.
Yeah. our first
3 episodes were
4 episodes are tough to listen to because they were very, very scripted. I think once we started to have on some higher profile national guests, we started to gain a little bit more traction. You pick up 1 or 2 people from outside your area, they share it with 1 or 2 people outside their area, and then it just starts to snowball from there. Another big thing that helped us was, working with ACK, and ACK was sharing our stuff on their social media platforms. And, they have a big,
very social,
followers and things like that. So that really helped us a lot.
Yeah, no, makes sense. Love it. All right, I got some questions. I love for this. If you guys got questions, if you're listening in, please go ahead and write those in there. I'm not paying attention to those, so I always star them and come back to them. TMOC, the question: how'd you guys get started with kayak fishing? Have you always been kayak fishermen from the beginning, or did you come from the bank or come from the boat? What was that journey?
Chris, I'll let you go first.
Well, I always pick about my very first kayak because I called it the plastic mistake. I had purchased the dreaded divorce maker, the tandem kayak.
Oh.
And I thought that at that time, I was trying to get my now ex-wife involved with some more outdoors type of, environment and getting outdoors a little bit more because that's how I grew up. It didn't work, and that thing sat in the garage after one use, and that was like in 2001. And then fast forward, 5-6 years later, I'm divorced, and I need to get outdoors and start doing things the way that I like to do them, and finally get back into fishing, and decide, I'm going to do it by kayak. And I had a couple buddies at work. Like I said previously, I work at NASA, and we're kind of full of people that love to do outdoors things and are very techie.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a great marriage, right? Outdoors and being techie whenever you're into kayaks, because we love to DIY things. We love to put things together on our own. Usually a lot of boat owners, they buy the boat, and next thing you know, they're using that acronym constantly, break out another 1,000, because they've got to spend money, constantly spending money. I know that because I'm also a boat owner. But kayaks is just an inexpensive way to get outdoors, to fish if you're kayak fishing. But I also love touring too. So I'm an avid hiker, and I'll put in 20 miles paddling with no problem. So it's more than just fishing to me.
Right on. I like it. Pass the question up top.
So I was in Corpus Christi at college at A&M Corpus Christi. Did a lot of surf fishing. Did a lot of fishing from the rocks. Wade fishing. Of course, no room in the apartments there to have a kayak or anything. But out of Port Aransas, when we would go fishing, we would always see a guy renting kayaks. He'd have a whole bunch of wilderness kayaks out there. And, years later, I finally figured out the guy that I was passing is like an old G kayaker down here in South Texas, and it was Slow Ride. It was Dean Thomas. He was the one that was renting them out, and I always passed by him and this was in 2005. And I was like, man, if I only had one of those, I could get to where I know that there's fish over there. Because when you're fishing from the bank, you're always thinking if you're not catching anything. If I could just
he's still
over there.
Yeah, if I could just get there, that's where the fish are. Like always. I can see, look at the I know their structure. Look at the way the lay down is over there. Like if I could just get there, I could catch the fish. So I always had that thought, like if I could just get there. Well, fast forward like 2 years later, I'm taking some classes, and I'm like, man, I really want to get a kayak. So I'm saying this to a guy that's in, at the community college now. He's in my history class, and he's like, I got a kayak. I'll never use it. And I was like, well, man, I don't really have any money to buy a kayak from you. He's like, well, what you got that you ain't using? And I said, I got a mountain bike that I don't ride. He goes, deal, I'll trade you.
Come on now.
I've never seen the kayak. He's never seen the mountain bike. We have no clue what either one of them is worth. Yeah, what they're worth. They're both just sitting in our garages. So I ended up going to get it from him. And it is it's a Ocean Kayak Scrambler XT, and I don't know if you guys have ever seen those.
No.
I tried to rig it up to be a crappie rig.
Extra wet butt.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a 11.5 foot. It was like 27.5 inches wide.
Oh,
back then
narrow.
it was the
wider
angler.
than that, man.
No, it wasn't. Not that. Look it up. I bet you it's 27, 28 inches wide.
What is it?
Was 29.
I'm looking it up.
Ocean Kayak Scrambler XT Angler Edition. Now,
make sure you add the XT. All you looking those up.
And back then, you want to know what the Angler Edition meant? There was 2 flush mount rod holders in the back. That was the Angler Edition of the kayak.
29 inches wide.
Oh, I see it.
29 inches wide. Okay, 29 inches wide. But anyway, so I got that thing, and I was like, I'm living up in Conroe. At that point, I'm like, all right, I'm going to turn this thing into a crappie machine. Nope. I had that thing about 6 months, and I'm like, all right, got to trade it in. And now,
probably every option you could.
Oh man,
imagine.
Like to put a fish finder on it.
Talk about the fish finder.
Yeah, so to put a fish finder on it back then, there was no accessories. Like there was no Yak Attack, there was no Railblazer, there was no Yak Gadget, there was none of that.
I remember whenever he was unloading this thing, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, man, what is this guy got attached?"
So what I did was I went and bought a piece of aluminum, like a sheet, not a sheet of aluminum. I don't know how to say it right, but it was a piece of aluminum that was 4 inches wide, and it was like an 1/8 inch thick, and it comes like you can buy them at the hardware store.
Yeah.
And we heated up and we bent it just right, where I could bend it, where I screwed it to where the foot pegs were, and then it went over, and then it went back up, and then I screwed down a fish finder to the top of that, and then I ran a battery cord where I could put a deer feeder battery in the front hatch of that kayak with like a Tupperware container with holes drilled in it where everything could come through there, so I close it down as a battery box. Because there wasn't no battery boxes.
That's OG right there.
Dude,
How
it
many
was
fish did that
OOG.
fish finder help you find?
None. 0. I didn't find anything. I mean, it was a little like 4-inch little Piranha Max looking thing. Like it was like it wasn't even like a Mark 4X. It was just a Lowrance 4-inch. Like there was no series name for it or anything.
No
like
video
that.
game fishing back then.
Oh no, and there was no like recess part for your transducer. The transducer was on a piece of PVC pipe.
That's amazing.
Screwed down there and ran back up to the fish finder. Like there was nothing back in 2007, 2006 for any of that stuff.
You're the original Yak Attack. If you would have made a YouTube video on that hack, it would have like
The
a million
original.
views today.
Now, do you know what Yak Attack
yeah.
originally started with? What their first product was? What they first started selling? Luther told us about this
Wasn't it the
on our show.
Visicarbon?
Yeah, it was a version of their light.
Yeah.
That was their very first product
The
that they
flag
ever
light.
made.
Big thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was the
old
very first
logo,
thing they
which
ever
was
made.
like the shark jaws. I think it's still on some of the flags today.
Yeah. And it was him and another guy in the garage, and then they started getting more orders, and the other guy's like, "Dude, I don't want to do this." And he's like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna keep doing it." And the guy's like, "Okay, that's cool." And then Luther grew it to what it was today.
Yeah. Man, the guy's been successful. Doesn't he also in the president at Bonafide? Is that right?
Well, he sold Bonafide. Well, he's still on the board. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it.
But he sold Bonafide to Big Waters.
Okay. All right.
So the Native company that owns Native owns them now.
I have a Native, and I just picked up a new kayak like 48 hours ago. So I'm pretty pumped about that. We'll talk more about kayaks. I know you guys have owned, between the two of you. This is like the only thing I know about you two. I don't pre-interview people. If you're listening in, I ask, hey, what are 3 things that you guys are good at? And they tell me a few things. And this is like the one thing I know. Between the two of you, you've owned over 35 kayaks, right?
I've
We've
owned
owned a
35
lot.
myself.
Yeah, I was gonna say between the two of us, we've owned a whole lot.
I recently had 8 in my storage, and now I'm down to 6.
You guys like professional kayak flippers? Is that how that works?
We used to be.
Make so much money, bro.
Oh,
like
yeah.
$100
So
at
much.
a time. Like
Used to
$100
be.
at a time.
started
Actually,
started
you know,
as a
I'm
scrambler,
trying to
ended up at a PA.
Oh yeah, so tell me your
10
setup
years later.
now. I got all kinds of questions. This is Kayak Fishing Obsessed, so let's talk about kayaks. Take a deep dive here. I want to hear kind of not every single journey, but tell me, from your beginning to what you got now? And was there one along the way that maybe you sold and you're like, oh man, I wish I had that back, or something like that? So,
Chris, you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
Absolutely, man. So like I said, my first kayak was the plastic mistake. That was the emotion co-motion, and then from there, I've had 4 Tarpon 160s. I've had 4 PA 14s.
hold up. Pause for a second. 4.
Yep.
Why would any human being own 4 of the same kayak?
Okay, there's different models.
All right, gotcha.
Tarpon
All right.
160. And right now, my current one is the Tarpon T160i, which is extremely rare to find these days. And I actually found one that doesn't have a single scratch on it. It
Oh.
looks like it came right off the showroom floor, and I'm reluctant to use it, although I let a buddy of mine use it. He didn't scratch it, though. He was good to it. But yeah, and then, of course, why would you have 4 PA14s? New models come out. You want to try something different. I actually think that the original model PA14 is probably the best one that they ever made. I know there's a lot of people that will argue the 360 is the best, and I say, how do you like those bearings? And then I've had every model of Outback. Actually, every Hobie I've owned, and most of them all at the same time. Ocean kayak. Probably 5 or 6 different variants of ocean kayak, Kaku, you name it. No, Drew, we can't hear your AC. But right now, probably my favorite to use, man, I love my new canoe. I got turned on to that just to use it on a river trip. And that thing has just been freaking fun, man. I can load anything and everything into that kayak. I could do a river trip. I could go saltwater fishing. I can put a motor on it. I can put pedals on it. It paddles like a pig, and it's really, but it tracks well. But you put 2 people in it, man. I know we joke a lot about tandem kayaks being the divorce maker, but I have a wife that really can kayak, and she's an excellent paddler. You take 2 people that can actually paddle well, put them in a tandem, and you can do some amazing things. We get on that frontier, and she'll paddle in the stern while I'm on the bow standing up sight casting redfish, and it's just so much fun. Then we'll switch off, and it takes nothing to switch off. It's like you can walk around that thing, dance on it if you want to. The kayak I most wanted to try out this year was the Bonafide. SS127.
Yeah.
And so I did pick up one of those, and while it is the most comfortable seat I've sat in, it is a bear to fly fish out of. It really is tough. So I'm probably not going to use the Bonafide until that deck gets cleaned up a little bit. And I actually saw they released a new version of the Bonafide recently. Looks like a great river kayak, and it might be a little bit up on the deck.
Chad just did a review on that. It looked pretty slick.
It did look slick, man. I like the no more hatch on the front, type deal. Going to that more open concept. I do like that decision that people or manufacturers are making. But man, I wish somebody would bring back the saddle. Everything has a chair. I do like the saddle.
It's too low.
I like to be low.
It's too low.
I had a.
That's the old school paddler in you, though.
Yeah, I'm not a paddle kayak fisherman. I went straight. I skipped the paddle, went straight to pedal power kayak. Got myself a Native Slayer Propel 10, and had that for a couple of years. I love it. It's a sweet little rig. And then just 48 hours ago, I saw this listing on Facebook Marketplace. I'm like, I'm wanting to get into bona fides. I think I really like. I think they're well made. And I was looking around for their only pedal power kayak, which is a P127, right? And so I'm looking around, like, who's selling one of these? They just went live like a year ago. And so if you're selling it, I mean, I gotta get lucky. So I see one in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I'm like, it's 3.5 hours away from me. Do I really want to drive and go get this thing? Like, it's gotta be a deal, because new out the box, those things are $3,100. And so this one I saw had native sidekick on it. Okay, that's $250, with tax and everything. The guy probably paid $3,500. So I'm like, okay, if I'm gonna drive 3.5 hours, it's got to be a good deal. So I was like, hey, will you take 22 for it? He's like, yep, sure. I was like, holy cow. Like, here we go. So I make the drive, pick this thing up, ends up taking an extra $100 off of it. So it's like 2,100 just because it was missing like a small transducer plate on the backside. And I was like, hey, I gotta ask, like, how many times you were in this thing? He's like, once. I was like, why don't you like it? And he pointed over to his other kayak, which was a new canoe. He's like, I just love the new canoe. I got in this thing and did not like how low it sat. And I'm just thinking in the back of my mind, I'm gonna work with my guy over at 3D Yak and get some 3D printed seat risers, and I'll take care of that real quick. But the new canoe was his reason for only getting in his P127 once. And, to each his own. The kayak's got to be good and perfect for you and how you fish and how you like to fish. But I have never actually put my eyes on a new canoe outside of that moment. Is it just like open concept?
Yeah,
Is that why people like
really
this?
is absolutely open. There's no, there's small hatches, but they're very, very tiny. Although once you get them open and start stuffing stuff, like on a river trip, I carried all my water inside the hull of my kayak. So all of my drinking water was inside the hull. So I had like 17 liters that I carried with me inside the hull. All of my wag bags and trash and everything like that I kept inside the hull. So accessible through that little hatch, you can put quite a bit inside. But yeah, it's just a wide open deck front, stem to stern, dude, just wide open and very configurable. You can put almost anything that you can imagine on that kayak. It's really cool.
Nice. I got a question from a listener. I'm not familiar with this kayak. Maybe you guys are. The Shearwater 125 as a beginners. What do you think?
So that's the Vibe kayak. As a beginner, you're not going to be used to very light plastic. You know what a kayak is like whenever you have light plastic, especially plastic that's here in America. The kayaks that are made here seem to have a little bit lighter, but still have the rigidity and strength. The Vibe Shearwater is made overseas in China, and for some reason they have, and this is my opinion, and I know a lot of people share the same opinion, but in China, they believe in order to make plastic stronger, they have to make it thicker. And in order to make plastic stronger, they have to make it heavier. So the Shearwater 125 instantly, to me, is heavy. Now,
what are we looking at for weight? Do we know?
My hands say it's too much. I picked up quite a few of them. I have a close
Just
friend
heavy.
I have a close friend in Tallahassee, and he is a Vibe kayak dealer. And every time him and I meet up, whether it be here in Texas and Louisiana or in Florida, he's got a trailer of Vibes with him,
Right.
and I've helped him load and unload plenty of Shearwaters. I like the design of the kayak. Man, it looks great. Looks sleek. The whole design looks efficient.
So with the seat and everything in it, seat in it, little pod in it, rudder and everything, you're looking at 109 pounds.
Okay, fitted 109. That's heavy. That's a heavy yak.
Yeah, and it's 12'6", so there's not a whole lot of area for that to be spread out on.
That's interesting because. Oh, go ahead.
See, somebody said, "Don't ask me questions, man, because I'll talk forever." I got a lot of information in this skull of mine, though. And in order to make a lot of the components work well or work better, you do have to, and they may have fixed some of these issues, but like the drive system, whenever they first came out with the Shearwater, there was an issue with the drive actually fitting into the drive well. And so, that company Yak Gadget?
I'm familiar, yeah.
So Yak Gadget made an entire system that adapts so that your drive will work better with this kayak, and that added like another 30 pounds or something. Man, it was just so heavy. Yak Gadget, anything Yak Gadget's going to be heavy. I mean, that stuff is just straight up starboard. Anyway,
and that 109 does not count if you are throwing in the pedal drive.
Oh,
Okay, got it.
So that's another like 15 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another
More.
15, 20 pounds there. Now, is the Shearwater the worst kayak that you can find for a beginner? No, there's way worse kayaks than the Shearwater out there.
I own one, so I know.
Are you going to
You own a Pelican? Or no, you
enjoy-
own a Ascend?
I own a
Ascend.
Pelican.
Oh,
Oh no,
Pelican.
Ruba 10.
There you go. That's not a great one to start with, but if you're looking at the pedal drive version of it, you know it is a fin drive, but what you've got to realize about these other kayaks that aren't Hobies that are using the fin drives, those fin drives are literally, what did we count up on our show, Chris? Like 25-year-old technology on those fin drives.
Well, so it
'Cause that's
is
the first
very old.
patent?
Well, the patent expires after I think 21 years. I think that's
Yeah.
what the listing is on. But anyway, I'm not too worried about that. You know what Drew, you know what I use in my Outback. I take the 180 drive and I sell it because I don't need that stupid thing. I want my old school. I'm using the same one that you love to tell stories about me using as an anchor. And that was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm still using that same drive.
But it's
Why do
not.
you love it so
it's
much?
not 20-something year. It's not
bulletproof.
20-something year old technology.
Less parts, to break. It's just it was made a lot stronger than these new ones are because you're always going to sacrifice something whenever you make things lighter. Okay, you're going to sacrifice some strength somewhere. It's just there's a give and take whenever you manufacture new models of anything. Although Hobie got it right with the new Outback, 100%. The new Outback is the best kayak that they've ever made.
The new Outback's great. If the seat was friggin' higher.
The seat sucks.
That's the only thing. The seat sucks.
I'm like the seat sucks, the drive sucks. It's the best kayak they ever made.
Yeah.
You can't do. I don't have a Kobe. I never really laid my eyes on one. You can't do mods to get those seats higher. They don't sell adjustable seats for those things.
They make. Have you seen
No.
those brackets, Drew? That
Yeah,
they make?
they're.
Those seat risers.
I mean,
Questionable, man.
the seat itself is already questionable on the Outback. You put it on some risers, and it's really gonna be questionable. Like you're gonna
Questionable?
you're gonna break something. Yeah, you're
What do you
gonna
mean
break
questionable?
something. Just
Well-
the plastic that's involved with them.
Yeah.
I mean, now they're doing roto molded, but you're gonna crack something.
The seat design just needs to be fortified and brought into today's age if they want to stick with this type of kayak. They got it right on the PA. The PA has a wonderful seat. I mean, for goodness sake, with the PA you could probably adapt a cappuccino maker and spend all day, eating off a charcuterie board and drinking, frou-frou coffee. That thing is so comfy. But
Oh, we got here.
I like the 2012 model of PA myself.
Okay. I love my new canoe, Frontier 12, super stable, and I'm in Hobie PA14. Love it. See some more comments here.
PA14 is great, man. A lot
Yeah,
of
the
people
PAs are great.
That use them, they love them.
Pelican Catch 100. Look at that.
I'm not gonna hate on anybody that
Make it
paddles
happen.
a Pelican. I will hate on you if you paddle an Ascend, though. Sorry, we can't be friends.
Yeah.
So
kidding, of
that
course.
is that the one kayak brand you're like, no.
I just no. Honestly, I will not even mention that kayak brand on your show because I don't want to give them any airtime. But
I think I passed
Ascend-
6 of them going to Bass Pro Shops recently. That's who sells Ascends, right?
Yeah.
yeah, no, I mean the one that I think is the absolute worst. I won't mention it on your show because I won't give them any airtime. But Ascend, I just think they're kind of silly because for years and years and years they had probably the most notorious leaks.
Hatch issues.
and they never fixed it. Yet somehow, last year they advertised the Ascend as being the #1 sold kayak in America.
What?
And just like you said, I'm sorry, just like you, damn it, How do I do that? Just like he said, it's because they pump them out of Bass Pro Shops like they're in a gumball machine.
Yep. They figure since they're there, it must be good. Here's a question. I don't know if you guys got an answer to it. David Chapman, are there 3D printed seat risers for Hobart Passport 12 seat that you would recommend? Or is this all aftermarket
I don't know
stuff?
Anything about that, but I cannot wait to get a Passport.
All right.
I know
You
that
gonna go to
sounds
Mexico?
kind of crazy. No, I don't. Come on, man. A Hobie Passport. I don't need to leave this great country, United States, that we live in.
Go ahead. There's not a lot of. I'm not a big fan of the seat risers in some of these. I don't think a lot of them need the seat risers. I'm in old towns, and my old towns don't need the seat risers. I don't understand why people get some of the seat risers, especially in the autopilot, because you put that sucker on the high position, and it's like you're sitting in a long chair. Yeah, you're already high. I mean, it may change the angle whenever you're in the big water or something like that, but I just recently ordered a 3D printed steering knob, and I was looking at the seat risers, and I'm like, I don't think I need any seat risers for my old towns.
3D printed seating? I mean, I've seen them aluminum, but I don't think I've ever seen them 3D printed.
Oh yeah, they got a whole bunch of 3D printed. There's a bunch of different companies. Navarre Kayak Fishing is one of them. Yak
Right.
Hobby's one of them. If you got some, good materials to use in your 3D printer, and you come up with a good idea, you can start a business nowadays. That's one of the cool things about our industry is we started out as DIYers, and now we're having guys with some cool electronics and 3D printers and stuff that are printing out some upgrades.
You don't even have to own the 3D printer. You can
How's that work?
contract that out.
Really?
Oh yeah,
If you have a
coming up
concept,
with
you
the
have an
idea.
You're like
Yeah,
drop
the
shipping
concept
your
of the idea.
3D printed things. Is that how that works?
Well, you'll send your AutoCAD, your file over to. Of course, you'll probably have to, get an agreement, sign some sort of agreement with that company. I don't know exactly how it works, but I do know of people that have used those services before. I think there's a company in Dallas, Texas, that does it too. But you just send your AutoCAD file over to them. They print it for you. They send you the rough concept or whatever. You refine it, send it back. They keep going back and forth until you have a finished product.
Nice.
Then you find a manufacturer.
I think it's awesome that this day and age, compared to what we were just talking about when I had to get a piece of aluminum from the hardware store to bend myself a fish finder mount, that we can go online and there's already someone who's tested something and tried it out as an upgrade, like the same year or, right after a new kayak comes out. You can go buy 3D printed seat risers, new steering handles, upgraded latches. Like, you can go buy all this stuff on the secondhand market that improves the kayak and not like kill yourself trying to figure it out or needing all this different materials. You just got to have an internet connection to rig out your kayak nowadays.
You didn't mean secondhand. You meant like third party.
Yeah. That's what I meant. Third party,
New
not secondhand.
products, but
Yeah,
You
new
think-
products for new kayaks, but from a third party.
you think Rex de Guzman? You think he misses making DIY videos?
I think he does. I think we need to buy Rex a 3D printer, and we could have so much cool stuff that comes out for cameras and
I
hats
don't know
and
if
everything.
you know this guy or if you've seen his YouTube channel, but Rex Del Rey or his alter ego Tex Del Rey.
Okay.
The dude's hilarious, but he used to do tons of DIY videos. Like every weekend was a new DIY video.
What's his YouTube called?
Live Live, or is
Yeah,
that
Live Live, Fresh Fish. Yeah, he's got it. Have you ever seen the action hats? The hats that have the mount built into them for your
GoPro?
No,
GoPro.
but now that you said it, I'll get like 16 ads every time I walk through.
Oh
Facebook.
yeah, for action hats. Action hats are awesome. If you're trying to record, go buy an action hat. You don't have to drill a hole in your favorite hat and put a
Plus they float.
piece of backing back there. It actually floats. It's
All right.
already got mounting brackets on it. It's already, all you got to do is put your camera on, screw
Free
it
plug
on, and
for
you're ready to
Action
go.
Hat right here.
Yeah. Action hats are great. That back in the day, head thong strap and everything else. And I don't know how you guys feel about it. It may be different for and I don't want to sound like an old man or like I've been doing this for freaking ever, but like the newer generation of kayak fishermen and the newer generation with these videos, they're used to the chesty mount. So people like that chesty mount. I freaking hate that view because literally, yeah, all you hear is heavy breathing and you hear, oh, this is huge. This is huge. And then you see their hands. Like all I see is your hairy freaking wrist right there and half of your reel. And you're like, it's huge. It's huge. It's a huge fish. Where if you use something like the action hat, I can see everything. I can actually see the fish jumping in front of you and not just your freaking hairy knuckles. Like I can see everything. So I am not a fan of the chesty mount. So I would behoove anyone who likes to get out there and get good point of view action to go at least look at the action hat. It's to me it's a lot better than the chesty mount by far.
I'm guilty as charged. I'm a chest mount guy, but I actually put an adapter on it that pushes it up to like right here. It's actually how I run my shorts video, so I actually turn it sideways, and so I use it mostly for bee footage. You're not hearing my breath all the time, but so you don't see my hands. It actually gets it up, but
well, good.
I just don't. I don't like something on my head. I don't know why. Maybe the action hat is the answer for me.
You don't wear a hat?
I wear a hat.
Well, there you go.
I don't want to wear. I want to wear my hat. I have lucky hat.
Whenever you get the hero shot, you got to switch hats.
Yeah.
There you go.
I will check it out.
Action hat. Just check
I will
it
check out the action.
Yeah, just check it out.
You know, it's interesting that what you're saying a moment ago when it comes to just how the industry has evolved. And I'm thinking, I was looking for the seat is kind of low and it's not adjustable in the P127. So I'm looking around like, okay, I don't know if you guys ever seen that kayak, but they have thumb screws for the front of the seat.
Mm-hmm.
And then underneath the seat, there's 2 aluminum gear tracks that nothing connects to. Like the back half of the seat doesn't connect to it. So it is still a mystery to me why there are gear tracks underneath the seat because nothing is on them.
I've used one, but I didn't notice that.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
I didn't notice it.
But the good news is, I work with a guy on Facebook, and he's made up some 3D things. Like, hey, do you got any P127 seat risers? Because it's gonna need something to attach to in the back, likely. And he's like, yeah, just send me the measurements. Like, so cool. That's where we're at now.
Yeah,
just
that's
like
awesome.
Send me the measurements, and I will literally print you what you need.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is awesome.
That is awesome. And I think it's funny that you say that the P127, the seat is kind of low. You're talking to 2 guys that when we started kayak fishing, like the bottom deck of the kayak was the seat. That was the
Jackson
seat.
Kayak
it was lower than the deck.
At that time, Jackson Kayak was one of the first companies to come out with a seat that wasn't inside the kayak, or the PA14 or the PA12 had a seat on top. Everybody else was taking boat seats and adapting them to their kayaks in order to get a chair to sit in rather than sit inside.
So it's just funny to me that you're like, the seat's low. Like, no, that's high. Like, that's good.
No, I get it. I have a Aruba 10, and you're sitting in the water. But when I was doing research, I was like, I'm going to go all in on my first kayak, which all in to me was the Native Slayer Propel 10. So I'm going pedal, I'm skipping paddle, I'm going to a straight up seat, and I put seat risers on it, and I haven't looked back. So I like being a little high. What happened on my Native Slayer was I put seat risers on it, and the plastic bar that it sits on, I think the design of it was pushed back a little too hard, and I sat back on that thing hard, and it cracked my kayak. Right at a stress kind of pressure point, which I learned a lesson on how to, basically repair a fishing kayak. So, but I was like, okay, I need to keep that in mind. But when I look at the P127, I'm like, okay, there's not a lot of places here where this thing can crack. This thing is built like a
yeah. Those bona fides are built well.
Yeah,
they spent some time.
Yeah, they did. They did a good job. They did a good job.
Hey, I want to go back to a question that you asked that we didn't answer.
What was it?
And I'll ask Drew first, and then I'll throw mine out there. Kayak that you regret getting rid of.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
I can tell you one I regret buying. That was that Jackson Superficial. I freaking hated that thing. That thing was horrible. I couldn't
Well,
even
you
go
took it out in the
against
wrong
the tide.
conditions, first off.
There shouldn't be any wrong conditions for a kayak to actually paddle.
That's a paddle board.
Yeah,
That's
I
not a
know.
kayak.
But I mean, it was superficial. It was a
So you don't
hybrid.
have-
Hybrid.
It's superficial. That's right.
Yeah, it was
so you
a
don't
hybrid.
have one that you regret selling? One that you miss?
I don't know if there's one that I missed though, Chris. I'm really, really in love with my big water. Like I really, really like that kayak a lot. Like that is my
So that
favorite
is the one.
kayak
Like,
so
if
far.
you got rid of that one, you might miss it.
Yeah, if I got rid of the big water 132, I would miss that one. 100%. I really like the way it handles in the marsh. Stands up. When I stand up, I get a good glide just with a few paddle strokes while standing up. You can take the rudder and it has a tension knob, so I can tighten down my tension knob on my rudder where it keeps me straight, so it's going to track really, really well. Even if I'm bumping into stuff with my rudder will not turn left or right because I can tighten down the tension knob on it. Paddles well. It's fast just by pedaling. It turns well. It's got little nooks and crannies where, Chris, you were talking about the new canoe where you really like the open stuff where you can put your stuff and configure it. I like mine. Yeah, I like mine where I have a cup holder here, a cup holder here. I got a nook here. I got a nook here. And then I can put my stuff exactly where I want it. I like the more like Tupperware type kayaks where it has little bitty nooks and crannies for me to put everything instead of the big open. I like to have compartments everywhere. I like the autopilot where it has different little compartments on the left, right, where I can lift up the little storage hatch and put things there. And there's a little nook on the side for my tackle box. I like stuff to have those, I'm going to call them creature comforts, but I like little knockouts and cutouts and things like that where Chris likes an open deck.
Would you have purchased a Predator?
I did have a Predator.
It's the same boat.
It is, but it didn't have the pedal drive. So the only thing about the Predator that I didn't like is it didn't have the pedal drive, and it was a more back then the Predator did not have the same things on the left. It didn't have pockets and things like that.
Old Town has made leaps and bounds with their new products. They were a dying
ton.
breed. Well, they weren't. Old Town was not a dying breed because, of course, they pretty much own the canoe market, you know, with some other guys. But they really do own the canoe market, especially in big box stores. But man, they really have come a long way. The one I wish I would have never gotten rid of, and all the listeners, the 1,000 people that are going to watch this stream or listen. Tens of thousands even. I'm going ahead and calling the shot right now. Tens of thousands that are going to listen to this episode. Find me an original old school Scupper Pro, please. Because I sold mine like, I don't know how many years ago. And I miss that kayak the most.
Does Norton still have his?
Who?
Nate?
Oh, yeah. Nate will never, ever.
He won't sell it to you, though.
Oh, I don't want his. No. Who knows what he's done inside that kayak. But you were talking about 26 inches wide. That is the 26-inch wide kayak. 14
That's a skinny kayak.
8
I'm looking at
inches
it.
long, and it is a rocket ship, dude. You get it on glide, and it is on glide for days. It's amazing, man. Love to fish out of it. So many times, you take a picture with a fish in your lap, and it looks huge.
It's so skinny.
22 inches wide.
It's hanging over both ends. It's like, dang, look at that bull red. And Chris is like, that's a 26-inch fish.
I took a picture of a flounder in my lap, and people were like, oh, saddle blanket, doormat, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, damn, it was like 20 inches long.
Yeah,
man. Just
perspective.
An everyday flounder.
You gotta love it. You got fishing with Gramps in the house. He's an old town pilot guy, autopilot. He was talking about it on the show a few weeks ago, and he almost had me sold.
Dude, it's a Cadillac.
Yeah,
It's a Cadillac. I love it.
Cadillac.
I love it.
I did not snag an Old Town this year because I knew my boy Drew was going to jump on one, and I was like, you know what, this is my chance to try the Bonafide, and it is a great kayak. It's sturdy, man. But
yeah, that's the one thing about it. It's
tell
heavy.
you what,
it's like 136 pounds, nothing in it.
I would beat him in a race, though.
You would. I mean, you were getting it, but I had a remote. That's the thing. Like
Yeah.
you can do it, but I could stand up. I could stand up and do, I could be like Titanic and stand on the front of it and be like doo 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 doo, and I can
You look like you're
turn and
playing
go
with your
left and
nipples
go
right now. Don't
right,
do
and
that.
I can go everywhere.
I called Chad Hoover up and I was like, hey, I'm thinking about getting a P127. I know you had one. You did some of the promo stuff on it. Like, what do you think? And he's like, why do you want to buy a pedal kayak? Why don't you just get a motor? I was like, it got me thinking. I didn't have a really great question, a very great answer for him in the moment, but afterwards, I was like, you know what? I'm pushing 42, and I need that exercise. I just need it. What do they say? 350 calories an hour, and I'm out for 8 hours. I mean, I like that part of it. I'm super sore after 6-7 hours on the
Well, you
water.
can always put a motor on a P127.
You can, but I kind of have this view of you're gonna buy a pedal kayak. I mean, here's the thing: it all depends where you fish, right? I'm not on super big lakes, so there's really no need for where I'm up here in Northeast Ohio to be rolling with a motor. So I could, for me personally, I understand that. I mean, if I ever were to get a motor, I'd probably get Newport, throw it on the back, run the battery to the front, so I can balance out the P127. But we will see. I'm pumped about it, guys. You guys are super easy to talk to. We're at 55 minutes.
Oh, we can go another 50.
I see. We
I
go as
know
long as
you can.
want,
Now I
dude.
know why. I know why your podcasts are so long, because it's like so easy going.
We can go as long as you want to go. Heck, we don't have to stop at an hour. I ain't got
That's
nothing
not
to
true.
do.
His wife is expecting cuddle time here in 5 minutes. So here, I got a
She's
question.
got the dogs.
I'm gonna switch gears on you. Wildflower 85. Good info to hear on gear. Help get good footage. What's the next step in my kayak fishing, which is kind of the next step for him? Any recommendations on straightforward video editing
There's a lot of
software?
questions there.
There is a lot of
there.
questions, and I know
Mhm.
some guys, were using Filmora. I know Fishing with Gramps wrote me recently, and you guys heard that kind of debacle where they canceled their lifetime memberships. If you bought one, they kind of reneged on it. So curious what you guys use. Share me through your videos. Do you video your fishing? No.
I am now. I'm
Okay.
all set up now. I'm all set up to go now. But he's not gonna like my answer at all. I'm using Premiere Pro. So
I'm using Premiere Pro as well.
Yeah.
It's only $10 a month, man.
yeah, spend the extra time. If you're a fisherman, you're probably already watching a little bit of YouTube on fishing. You're watching YouTube. You're watching us right now. So next Thursday, obviously not on Tuesday. Don't do it on Tuesday. But go watch a video on simple editing on Premiere Pro. Learn the Cadillac. Like, go ahead, spend a little bit of money, spend a little bit of time, learn the Cadillac. That way, if you do enjoy it and you do like, producing your videos, you're not going to have to upgrade and learn something new. You're going to start out with the Cadillac. So
You guys
I
are
would suggest do
spoiled
Premiere.
right now. You
Yeah.
guys are absolutely spoiled right now. The first video I ever edited in Premiere was Premiere 3.5, I think. And this was back in like 2001. And it was a motorcycle video. And it took me a month to learn how to use that stupid program and cost me $675. Nowadays, it's one-click editing. It just really does all the tricks for you.
Yeah.
So easy, and you don't have to pay $675 to find out if you like it
Yeah.
and find out if it's hard to use.
Shane's talking about iMovie. iMovie's a good one. It's something that's super simple, but you're also super limited on what you can do with those. I mean, you're
It's just
super
like Movie
duper
Maker for
limited.
Windows.
Yeah. It's the same thing like Chris just said with Movie Maker. Buy the Premiere Pro, learn how to use it, and you won't have to use any other program ever again, because Premiere Pro isn't going anywhere.
Here's what's awesome about Premiere Pro also. You pay the $10 a month, you get to use it on your computer, your wife's computer, your friend's computer, your cell phone. You can log in because it's web-based. It's a web app. You're not downloading anything. It's web-based. You can log in from your phone, have the app on your phone, log in, edit a video right there. Most of the small clips and stuff that I put out there, I like to edit them and just right there on my phone. reels and things before I put a reel on what's that other thing called? Instagram. I'm sitting here trying to sound like I know my shit, and I'm like, I can't even remember the name of the stupid social media platform. But I will put them through, Premiere Pro or even pictures. I pay the $10 a month for Lightroom.
Okay.
I'm more into photography than I am videos. I love photography.
And people spend more than $10 a month at the gas station getting their favorite
for
drink.
tacos.
Yeah. I spend that a day.
$10 a day.
About
Drew is the gas
month.
station taco king.
And I was gonna say, since we're along the lines of this, what I've kind of found over, and it's just been recently, like I've really just wanted to start doing more video footage in the past like 3 or 4 months, and really dedicate a little bit of time, because you have to dedicate some time to it, is the Yak Attack boomstick is the best. It's the best camera mount. It used to be the Railblazer camera mount, used to be the gold standard. The Yak Attack boomstick, if you're wanting that over the shoulder look, the way that it's built, the lock and load system, that is the way to go. You're not going to convince me. I bought a ram mount and I tried the ram mount version of it. It was not great.
Dog bones, just to get the right angle.
It was not great. It was very shaky. It wasn't stable. The Yak Attack mount, the boomstick, is the way to go for the over the shoulder. If you want the point of view shot, go ahead and get you an action hat, or do a chesty with 12.5 extensions, and make sure you don't get your hands in the picture, because then I'm gonna not watch it.
And then the panfish for hero shots.
Yeah, and then like you said, the panfish portrait, or the regular panfish, is great. That's another Yak Attack product. But what I have found that has really changed the way that I am videotaping, especially for my over the shoulder, is
videotaping. Where are you from? 1970?
My YouTubing, my content creation. Is that what I should say? There is a battery pack called the Refuel. You can hook it up to your GoPro. I have a 10, so you can hook it up to your GoPro 10. It gives you 9 hours of recording. If you buy a 250 gigabyte card, or 256 card, that gives you like 15 hours worth of 1080 recording. You have that 9-hour battery pack on your GoPro. If you're out for a 9-hour day, because you have about an hour or 2 hours on the actual battery that's inside the camera as well. So you got about 11 hours of battery.
Did you say 2 hours in the internal battery?
Yeah. For each
generous.
internal battery, it's about 2 hours.
Generous. I get like 50 minutes.
I get about 2. Are you
recording 4K?
No, I'm recording 1080, because I can't edit in 4K. There's no use to record in 4K.
It does take a beefy computer.
Yeah, my computer will just sit there and have a stroke if I try to edit in 4K. So I just shoot in 1080p.
I got one for sale, man.
I do not, but most people are only watching in 1080 anyway. But you get that battery pack, you get the bigger card, you get it turned on. Turn it on when you start fishing, and you don't have to turn it off. Like, that was my biggest thing.
You got to go find the footage from an 8-hour day.
You say that, but
Why don't you just turn it on and say GoPro record whenever you're ready to?
Because you never know when that fish is going to hit. So you GoPro record your whole day. Catch a fish, get your hero shot, GoPro, stop recording. GoPro stops recording, GoPro, start recording. You turn it immediately back on. Your fish is at the end of that segment every single time. So you don't have to go back through a whole long 9 hours worth of fishing. You just have to go back 5 minutes from the end of each clip.
See, I always see my fish before I catch them. So,
I mean,
he laughs. Look, listen to.
Hey,
I can't. I need to learn how to point my damn fingers. I am not about structure fishing or fishing deep, or I 9 times out of 10, I would say 9.9 times out of 10, I see the fish before I catch it.
I'd say 7, 8 out of 10 times I see it. But my initial thought, Chris, isn't, ooh, there's a fish. GoPro, start recording. GoPro,
Right.
start recording. And then I gotta keep paddling across to try to find that fish. Like if I take my eyes off of him, I'm screwed.
Generally, my thought is GoPro, take a hike.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. If you buy the battery pack, you get the bigger card, you get the boomstick, you put it out behind you, you turn it on at the starting of the day, and you're done. You have footage. Now, with my camera on my action hat, I'll turn that one on and off because it's right there. I just hit the button and I'm ready to go. But it really helps with me sucking at turning the camera on and off.
Can't you highlight as well? GoPro highlight.
And it'll
Just
stop
keeps
it
the
right
spot.
there.
Yeah. Just kind of make a mark. There's another way to do it. You know, I have the boomstick from Yak Attack. My only issue with that thing, and it's not. I mean, if you have under a 7 black, you're not going to have great stabilization. That thing moves around. So if you have a 7 black or north 10s, I mean, once they get up in those numbers, those things are awesome for stabilization. But my only issue about the boomstick is at the bottom. There's a weak point down there. And I just caught a tree once, a little bit, and snapped that thing, and my GoPro went in the water, and now it has a forever red light on it.
Jesus.
Yeah, I know. It's like,
how
okay,
fast were you going?
I wasn't
That
going
is
that
pretty
fast.
much-
I was just kind of cruising. It just caught. It just, I mean, so a little bit of pressure. If you're not paying attention with that boomstick, it's gonna snap at that weak point at the bottom.
So that's going to be any manufacturer of products like that, because the point at which you attach your product to your kayak, that is probably the weakest point. It's just using a 1/4-20 screw. So Yak Attack products do use a through bolt, so it goes all the way through the entire assembly. I'm not sure. I'm trying to think of where that weak point might be. It might.
It's
be
off
at
the
T
off the
nut.
through bolt when it gets to the heavy of the
Yeah. Oh, where the gear
the
gear
round
head
gear with the
meets
through
the-
bolt,
okay.
right when it starts to go. It's like a
I can
little
see that.
thin piece of plastic that kind of rainbows over, and then it goes really thick. So there's a way to make sure it doesn't do that. It's just, and that I mean,
Don't
I
hit
bought another
trees.
one.
Don't hit trees.
Don't hit trees. Watch where you're going. Pay attention. All those things. So I mean, I'm not saying it's Yak Attack's fault. I'm just saying the amount of pressure I put on that for it to snap, the big bummer, especially if you're running a 10 when they're $400 and they drop that in the water. It was a big bummer. Anyways, we got people. I have a GoPros. They have problems with overheating.
Well,
KPF.
I'll tell
I've
you
never
what.
had issue with one overheating.
I purchased the new DJI. Golly, now I can't even remember the dang name of it. The new
Osmo.
tiny one. Yeah, but it's the Action 2, which is sort of the small size of like a Session, but it's highly. I mean, it's super techy, man. Has tons of technology built into it. But that thing, they all overheat. It's 4K video. To be able to capture 4K video just takes, extreme amounts of power. And now they got cameras that are capturing 5K and 8K. So, good luck being able to run those cameras, at a regular interval without them overheating.
But the cameras can capture it, but can you edit that? And what is everybody
Takes a lot,
watching it
bro.
on? Like, I'm not
First-
watching 4K video on YouTube on my phone while I'm using the bathroom. Like, it's 1080i is good enough for me.
First time I processed 4K video was about 4 years ago, and it took like a day and a half for a 30-minute clip.
For it to render.
Jeez. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm rolling through YouTube, and when I see 4K next to it, it doesn't make me want to watch it anymore, or
Me
any less.
either.
There's no
Or any
no
less.
determining factor whether or not I click that video.
The only thing on YouTube that gets me is if I see your ad and it interrupts the middle of my video, I'm less likely to purchase anything that you're selling. Like,
But
I'm
that's
way
anything
less likely.
unless you're subscribed to YouTube Red, right?
Yeah,
I'm
and
not subscribing to anything.
you
that's
got to
what I'm
pay. What
saying.
is
You're
it?
gonna
$12,
get-
and you get rid of all the ads.
Yeah, you're going to get ads unless you're subscribed to their premium service.
Yeah, but
Or
I don't
if the
want your
content
ads.
creator says, I don't want those in the middle,
Yeah.
they can
that how it
override
works?
if they want to.
Bro, I know nothing about YouTube.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Here's what I hate the most. Those in the middle, especially if it's a long video, I get it. Like they break it up. That's how they make their money. They spent umpteen hours creating the thing. The thing that irritates the crap out of me is when those long rectangle boxes pop up
Oh,
when
at
you're
the
watching
bottom.
YouTube.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And it's the first thing. I don't even look at it. I just go up and hit the X. And so I refuse to put those on my videos because I hate them so much. And I don't care if they would make me money or not. They just drive me crazy.
What gets me is when like you're watching a fishing video or something and the guy's like, look over there to the left. You can see their tailing. You can see the tails come up. Guys, sneak up here. Sneak up here. And then you have Whopper, double, triple, blah, blah, Whopper. And it's like the commercial comes on and it's so freaking loud that it startles you. You drop your phone on the scale beside you in the bathroom. Like you're just scared to death because somebody's sitting there screaming while you were intensely looking at your phone trying to see these redfish.
So far, twice you've been watching YouTube on the toilet.
That's the only place I watch YouTube. It's the only place that's calm and quiet in my house, and I can concentrate on something.
Drew escapes 7 times a day to the throne.
Exactly. I've been doing a lot better, though, man. I should have had my... We'll talk about this on our next show, Chris, but I should have went to the doctor a long time ago.
If you're interested in hearing a lot about how Drew evacuates his colon, at least once an episode.
Yeah,
sign up. Sign me up.
Yeah.
Hey, look.
Where do I sign up?
Fishing with Gramps is on my
Paddlers
side
Playbook
over here.
on Spotify.
What's he saying?
Fishing with Gramps, we must get the same commercials. He's on the one where it's like expired, 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 expired. Don't become your parents. Like we're on the same. We get the same ads in ours. That's for sure.
I don't have that annoyance at all, man. I just don't watch YouTube. I'm sorry, guys. I can't relate.
Well, this is on Hulu too. Those commercials come on Hulu a lot as well.
Don't watch Hulu either.
You know, before I started doing kind of YouTube videos, I hated watching videos. I just didn't want to do it. I don't know why. There's something about it. And here I am, years later, doing the content creation thing, hoping there's not a lot of people out there who are like me. So I don't know. I still don't like watching them. The only time I will watch YouTube videos is when I'm getting ready to have someone on my show and I'm going through all this stuff, trying to figure out, okay, I'm trying to figure them out. What questions? Yeah. What we're going to talk about? Be honest with you guys. I went through your 74, 77 episodes and we didn't get to a single question that I had for you. I probably had 10 questions. Like, I want to talk about this show. I want to talk about when you had Luther Cyphers on. I want to talk about.
Let's do the lightning round.
Lightning round.
One sentence about whatever question for me and Chris. We're only going to give you one sentence, no commas, Chris. Like it's not going to be a run-on sentence.
I'll try, buddy.
One sentence to answer the question. Let's see.
I guess
Let's
ready?
see what he has.
Question number 1. Best show you've ever done on the Paddlers Playbook.
Ooh, that's a hard one. What was your favorite show, Chris?
The one that never made it to the air because Drew forgot to hit record. Sorry about the comma.
We did it twice.
Like semicolon.
We did it twice. I think
can't recreate it. Yeah, but it was the greatest show ever.
We started
had
over.
A fantastic time. We recorded it again, but I swear, it was doomed from the very beginning because we told our guests that we would start at 8:00. But they're on the East Coast. So they were waiting in StreamYard for an entire hour before we got there. And then Drew forgot to hit record.
Yeah, we were about an hour in, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. I wish we would
did a 2-hour show with them.
Wow.
Yeah, that was tough. I think my favorite show that I learned the most was when we had, what was Mr. Benet's first name? Shane, when we had Shane Benet on, where he was talking about the hatchery program, the Texas hatchery program, was talking about oysters. Like we got into some science stuff that I really enjoyed it. Yeah, that was probably my favorite episode because I learned the most on that episode, and I think that makes things my favorite. I like things that are either entertaining, sports wise, or I can learn something. So that one was my favorite.
All right.
This was becoming one of my favorites, though. I like to BS, man, and be told I could only talk in single sentences.
One sentence answers.
All right, let's go to lightning. That single sentence went to like a few paragraphs, but it's all right. I think we already answered this one. What's the worst kayak you've ever owned? So I'm going to skip that one. Let's go lightning round number 3. Best fishing advice you've ever received.
It was on the episode that Chris is talking about that I screwed up on the recording. And what was our man's name that's on that episode?
Harry.
Harry said that he would tell his clients, hey, I know you guys have already booked this trip with me, but cast are free. So cast as much as you can. Like, if you're out on the water, cast. Like, take that extra cast. And with me getting into more tournament fishing last year, this year, cast. Like, cast and cast and cast. Now, there is some old adage where people are talking about, and Chris is probably going to bring it up.
Hold on. Don't
paddle
even go there because
paddle more and cast less. Well, I'm here to tell you I like doing it the other way. I used to do it the way Chris is saying. A lot more paddling, a lot less casting. We have found more success last year with casting more, grinding it out, never feeling like I left a cast out there. But I know Chris will tell you something completely different, and I think that's why our show has worked for so long. Is a lot of people say it's that yin and yang, that difference of opinions here. So Chris, go ahead. First, best advice, and then tell me why I'm wrong with the cast more.
Well, can I answer this 2 different? Because honestly, there's 2.
This one sentence stuff ain't working. This ain't even a lightning round. No, this is like a distant thunderstorm round. Look,
you're talking to salties here, not freshies. Yeah,
I hear you.
Tend to be a little long-winded, but honestly, the probably best fishing advice I ever received as a youngster was shut up and fish. I learned that lesson a long, long time ago, and it works. But in a more professional setting, Coach Sonny Mills, who is a Texas coastal redfish nut just like us, he had a very piece of sound advice for me, and it was paddle more, cast less.
There you go.
And I have used that, and it has worked out fantastic for me. I will paddle, not afraid to put in the miles until I find the perfect scenario, the perfect situation that suits my fishing style, and I'll hammer it. And it's worked out, man.
Drew, I got to say, well, first, before I give my kind of where I'm at, hey, everyone listening in, where you at? Cast more, paddle less, or the inverse? Let us know in the comments down there. Drew, I'm with you. I see fishing in terms of percentages. And if my lure's not in the water, I'm not catching a fish. So I don't know. I have a tendency to side with Drew, just my personal, but cast more. Here we go. See what we got here. Cast more. Jason.
On
a lot
that
of freshies though, a lot of freshies are listening. Yeah. And saltwater sight fishing is way different. It is very, very different. Yeah. And I invite any of the listeners to come on down. We'll go take a sight casting trip, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
And I want to say that it's not remote cruise
there
control,
foot
steering, cast twice as much. Hey,
fish smarter, not harder. That's what
Gramps is talking about the autopilot, and that is what the autopilot will do to you. You can set that sucker on a half speed, or you can set it on a 1. You can use your feet to control yourself, and you can
Drew's
throw
complaining
and throw.
about his weight was creeping up on him. He wasn't feeling good. His joints were hurting, all different kinds of ailments and things like that. He's like, I need to exercise. So what does he go do? He buys an autopilot.
I still have the pedal drive. I still have the PDL. We got out and did the tournaments, GRS this year in the
exercise, PDL. But I also need an autopilot.
Yes, the autopilot is a lot better. And on the cast more, I'm talking about casting more on quality areas. I'm with Chris on go find quality areas to fish.
Right.
But I think where I had trouble before, where I did not have as much success fishing,
You would sit in one spot. and
I
just
was
grind it,
casting
grind it,
on
grind it,
one
grind it.
spot, trying to grind it. Whereas I would see like a drain, a marsh drain coming out. I would fish that drain for 2 or 3 hours. Where now I'm starting 250 yards from that marsh drain. I'm casting the entire shoreline to the marsh drain, going past the marsh drain, and I'm going 100 yards past that area, and I'm just casting, and I'm covering that whole area a lot better, and then I'm moving on to my next area.
I will have to say something though. This year, Drew, and I'm gonna say it on the Kayak Fishing Obsessed podcast. Drew was gifted an area where he learned so much this year. Him and his brother. This area was, man, it's been fished by some very successful fishermen in the past years, and it was a perfect storm.
That's not the only area where we won money from, though.
But
I'm
I'm
gonna
just
tell
saying,
you that.
I'm just saying that area, and you know where see it didn't take much. He knew what I was talking about. He was able to learn a lot of different techniques, a lot of different scenarios, and a lot of us stayed away and just let him kill it out there. And it's a good thing because he was able to apply a lot of those techniques where he did used to just sit in one spot and wait basically for the I guess you would wait for the tide to change or current to start moving in, and you knew that fish were going to come around that bend. There was some structure there, but just grind it. But now you figured out, well, they don't just stage, or they don't just move through those areas. They stage in other areas.
Mm-hmm.
On points. They stage on points. They might sit in muddy areas, where they're digesting food, and you could just get there and piss them off.
And guys, we're just talking about redfish right now.
We're just talking about redfish.
Yeah, that's all we do. We do
what
redfish.
everybody always tells me is that if you can catch redfish, if you're a red fisherman, if you are afflicted with the redfish, you can also catch the greenfish. How'd that go for you, Mr. Buckets?
Hey, I did good in the tournament. One of the tournaments I fished, I got 15th out of 97.
How many people have told you, though, that if you can catch redfish, you can catch bass?
They always say they're a lot alike.
Always say it.
Except for in the summertime. Bass fishing in the summertime sucks. Like, especially in Texas. It sucks.
Oh,
like,
it's 110 degrees.
It's horrible bass fishing in Texas.
That's a
I'll
wonderful
fish
temperature.
Pre-spawn is my jam. I can fish pre-spawn for bass all day. But you get in the summertime, I'm freaking lost. And then by the fall, the redfish are running, so I'm way out of the fresh water. I'm down there on the coast.
I was a little irritated when you first got on because you asked me if we can hear your AC. I'm up here and my legs are frozen, and you're asking if I can hear your AC.
Bro, it's 79 degrees
Dude,
where we're at.
Yeah,
kidding me.
I got my AC on in
Actually,
my shop.
I think it might have hit 80 today.
Gosh,
it was
there's a lot of us right now hate you. All right, let's go over
on
here
the
and see
coast.
some of
He's
these comments. Shane,
That's in.
cast more, cover more water, saltwater can be efficient, appropriate times, tide is indifferent. There we go, Steven. Don't need the perfect boat position to kayak. Take a few extra casts. We'll take an ugly drift. There we go. Cast more, paddle less. But I think I agree with you here. I think the majority of people watch my show are freshwater fishermen. Here, paddle, troll. I like trolling a lot. Let me see what else we got here.
You can't troll quite as much for redfish.
No, aren't they primarily shallow, right?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, we're fishing 2 foot or less most of the
Right.
time.
You can't. Yeah.
Most of the time.
You can't say that they're primarily shallow, though. You go to Florida where it drops into, 15, 20 feet almost automatically. And plus you're dealing with, what were we talking about yesterday?
10-foot
10-foot
changes in
tide swings.
tides.
Whoa.
Yeah, we're doing a Florida trip to fish the Elite Redfish Series there in Jacksonville in April. And we're looking at places, and Chris is like, well, if we fish over here, it could be a 10-foot change in tide for the day. And over here, it'll be a 6-foot change or 4. And I'm like, that'll get the fish moving a little bit if there's a
Little bit.
10-foot difference in water.
I
So you
fish
guys-
there almost every year, and 3-foot tidal swings are what I'm used to whenever I fish Florida. In Texas, we're happy if we get 10 inches.
Mm.
Yeah,
That's
like
awesome.
1.5 2 foot is a big tidal
deal.
swing.
So being down there in Texas, you guys connected with, I just had him on my show recently, Texas Fishing Force. You both
Mike
love the
Ashworth.
redfish.
Mike Ashworth, yeah.
Yeah.
He's literally right down the road from me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's not far from me at all. And in fact, when Drew mentioned that, I went and listened to that show, and I realized, man, I'm not the big YouTube fan, but I do recall watching a couple of his YouTube videos from way back when. He pretty much covers a lot of the areas that we fish, and he likes to talk about techniques that he uses to fish those areas. So back whenever I was absorbing as much as I could from YouTube here and there, he was one of those guys. But yeah, man, I'm more into his tattoo work than I am into his
I know,
fishing,
right?
though. Yeah.
He had a video on that recently. He took around his shop, and I was like, man, that guy's talented. Pretty cool.
He's got some awesome stuff, that's for sure.
Yeah. Oh, so that was lightning round. Question 4. All right, I'm gonna go skip number 4. I know the answer to that one. Number 5 is the last question. We haven't talked about any of this. This question is totally off subject. What is your favorite small business lure company?
I like Bugs. If y'all don't know what Bugs lures are.
Bugs? Is it
So
literally
Bug-
bugslures.com?
BUGGS.
BUGGS, because it's a saltwater thing. Also, Four Horsemen popping corks. I think those would be my 2 that I actually use.
That's
And-
tackle though. That's not lure.
Well, yeah. I mean, do you consider it as terminal tackle? Is a popping
It's
cork
not
a lure?
terminal tackle, but it's tackle.
What's the difference?
Well, terminal means it's at the end.
The popping cork is kind of at the end. A
It's a
swivel
middle.
ain't at the end. That's terminal tackle. What is
Yeah,
the
I don't-
end? The
Okay,
last
maybe-
what of your
maybe I've got
line
the
is the
term
end.
wrong. Yeah. Hey, listeners, what's the answer?
Yeah, I know terminal is like,
Tell people who've been doing this for a decade. Hey, what's terminal tackle?
I mean, a terminal in an airport is like where the connections happen. So
Well, maybe that's what it is. But anyway, I don't know. Pop and cork is just, to me, it's just tackle. But
Bugs and Four
Horsemen's great.
Horsemen.
Bugs is fantastic. One of my favorites is Long Gone, but they existed both in the fresh and the saltwater world, and they were Attrax, ATTRAXX.
Okay.
Attrax lures, and they had a feeding stimulant that was as good as what Gulp uses, and their product did not shrink. And I'm not talking bad about Gulp at all, because they are the most winningest soft plastic in the entire world, and I use them religiously. But yeah, Attrax was something special, man, for a while. But they're defunct. They're gone. I
That's a
bought them
bummer.
out of their stock, and I have currently probably 1,000 packages of soft plastics,
Jeez.
and I don't know what to do with them.
I'm sure there's other guys out there looking for them. You could probably.
I should probably put them on eBay, because I need to clear my storage out big time.
So, terminal tackle. You guys ready for this?
Yep,
Gear
let's go.
that is attached to the end of a fishing line.
But it's not the end. The hook's on the end.
That's Wikipedia, man. I don't know what to tell you. It says,
I
and
know,
thus
but
get
is a
cast
That's
swivel
out.
how I always thought of it. Terminal
a
tackle.
swivel's terminal tackle?
That's just tackle.
Well, here we go.
Look it up on Pure Fishing. I bet that some bitches under
It's probably
terminal
listed
tackle.
under-
It's not just hooks. Hooks are the only thing at the end of a fishing line. Literally,
Well, here it is.
That's it.
It goes on, and it gives some. It dives in some more. It says, and thus get cast out along with the bait. So it's collectively called terminal tackle, which includes hooks, leaders, floats, sinkers, feeders, swivels, and any attached snaps or split rings.
There you go. So the
I have
end of
this-
your
I fish with-
line into your
Down there.
whatever.
All that
I
stuff.
fish with a lot of people from different parts of the country, and some from outside of the country. And one of my all-time favorite pals to fish with is from Pennsylvania, and he always goes, whenever I tie on a popping cork, he goes, Chris, why are you fishing with that bobber? Take that bobber off. Like, it's not a bobber, dude. It's a
popping cork.
That's
gotta have a cool name.
Cork. It's a bobber.
It's a popping cork.
Oh, let me see. I got
those
questions.
fish.
I got questions
Hey,
back
I fish
here.
up in Ohio too, once a year.
Where?
Yeah, where? Actually, my family, my wife's family's from Canton.
Oh, okay. Next time you're up here, if you have time.
I go to Lakeside, Marblehead.
I don't know if that. You up Cleveland?
No, more like Sandusky.
Oh, okay.
On
That's
the
even further. Yeah, it's a couple hours from me. 2.5 hours. All right. Well, if you come back through, I'll take
I'll
you
be there next
to.
summer.
You ping me. You let me know. I got a couple kayaks. We'll go out. It'll be fun.
He gonna put you out on that Pelican.
Actually, just meet me in Toledo. Next time I go, I think Mike McKinstry is going to meet up with me, and we're going to do some mommy river
Bass
fishing.
Squatch.
Oh, there we go. Oh yeah, I saw you guys interviewed him not too long ago.
Yeah,
I
Mr.
started
Bass Squatch.
listening
Guy,
to it.
man.
Then you guys talking about a board game, and I was like, I'm not sure what I'm listening to right now.
That's most of our shows where you get into it. We get you hooked with the fishing, and then like we're talking about board games, we're talking about tacos, we're talking about marsh dumps. Like there's no telling where the show is gonna go. We're talking about
Thermal convection, man.
We're talking about thermal convection. Like there is no telling where the show is gonna go.
Thermal convection plays a big role in kayaking. Huge role.
I don't even know what we're
Especially
talking
if
about
you're-
right now.
Especially if you're kayaking.
Thermal
offshore.
convection, man.
Oh, okay, thank you.
You know,
Well, you
redfish are
can't
really
throw out
dumb.
thermal convection and not explain it to us. So
it's when the earth Earth's surface starts to heat up because the sun has come up, of course, and it's heating the air around you and also the surface. But the surface is going to heat up really fast, right? It absorbs all the radiation, and then you start to get, just like in a convection oven, a rotation, right, which causes a lot of wind. So then when you're out fishing and the day starts to, you start the day and it's nice and calm. But as the day progresses, all of a sudden the water gets choppy, it gets windier, it gets harder to fish, and that's because the Earth's crust has heated up because of the sun, and now you've got this rotation of air moving from cooler to warmer parts, right?
no, I hear you.
That's why it gets windy.
I'm gonna go on YouTube next, and I'm gonna see a ton of. If you know your thermal convection, you can catch more bass videos. I know it's coming.
I don't know if it necessarily happens a lot on lakes. I think it happens more on coastal areas or near coastal areas. It may happen on lakes as well, but I know it more to be prominent on coastal areas.
Is that like
Anyway.
something? Is that like you talk about it so naturally, like it's a part of your job at NASA or something? Is it or not?
No. Well, not really.
They're 3D printing houses.
I'm on a Mars project right now.
Are you for real? All right, we're gonna go way off topic. If you could talk about it, what do you got going on?
Only because we actually released some media recently, but it was hush hush until about a month ago.
Okay.
But for the past 2 years, we've been we're gearing up to. You ever seen the show Biodome?
A long time ago. That's an old show.
Pauly Shore.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, like a decade ago, I watched that maybe.
Okay. So we're about to
Weasel.
bust out some Biodome, man. We're locking up 4 crew members for 375 days, which is an entire Martian year. And we're evaluating food systems because, of course, whenever you send people to Mars, it takes 6 months to get there. And then their mission is an entire year, and then it takes 6 months to get back. So every time you prolong food product, you lose quality.
You lose nutrients.
You lose nutrients, you lose quality, and as people eat this stuff, they lose the will to live. It gets pretty bad.
Now, Chris, is there a formula for that? Like, I mean, like a easy.
Ah.
If something's sitting for a month, it loses 10%. Or I mean,
I
is
think
there
it
anything
depends
like
on
that?
what it is, and
Okay.
also the bioavailability of its nutrients to begin with.
I got you.
You know, whether or not it was actually good shit or
Gotcha.
or actual crap. But
Bioavailability. That's not a word I've heard probably in about 20 years. Thanks for
On
busting
any
that out.
on
I
any
like it.
fishing podcast.
Yeah, any fishing podcast, and I probably won't. If I ever hear bioavailability again, man, I'm gonna call you guys up. Like, hey, it happened.
but
So
we're evaluating the food systems mainly. So this is we have 3 missions planned. The entire length is 5 years. Each mission, like I said, 375 days, which is 1 Martian year. And by the end, we hope to have everything figured out so that we can go ahead and send humans to Mars.
within 5 years.
Well, we'll have the science figured out in 5 years, hopefully.
Okay.
You know,
Within our
then we
lifetime.
then we actually have the hurdle of getting them there, right? Which is what Orion is supposed to be. Orion is supposed to be our deep space vehicle.
Okay.
That's the one that just went to the moon. It was called Artemis. The mission was called Artemis. I don't know if
Okay.
you followed that or not.
Huh. Did I hear? This is vaguely. I thought I heard somewhere on the radio that some company just got the bid to make these 3D printed houses on Mars, and it was an insane amount of money. Is this something that's like false, or is this actually something that happened?
So the company that built ours, it's a 3D printed habitat, and there's a lot of struggles, or there are a lot of challenges that you have to meet whenever you're 3D printing with, because they're going to use the Martian's dust,
Right.
right? So first off, we don't know. I mean, we know what it's made of because we've had Opportunity and Spirit, which are the 2 drones on Mars for like 15 years, and they analyzed pretty much everything that's there, almost everything, on the surface anyway. But you've got to get water there to be able to make concrete out of the Martian dust
Right.
or of the Martian soil, and it takes a lot of water to do that. And
How'd they keep it from freezing though?
You got to keep it from freezing, and the Martian surface is like 30 degrees cooler than the Earth's surface constantly. It's very cold. It's not warm there. People would think it's warm because it looks warm, right? The red planet.
It's
not
red.
warm. It's not. It's cold.
See, are you impressed that I knew that, Chris?
Which part did you know?
That it was
red?
colder in the water.
Yeah, water there, and you know they did find water there, but it's so acidic you would just die.
But they can use it for concrete.
They might be able to use it for concrete if there were an abundance of it, but there is not.
Got it.
They found traces of water, right? Frozen material. But anyway, yeah, you're kind of right that there has been a, we're working on 3D printing habitats for not only the Martian surface, but lunar surface as well. So it's the same company. I don't know if they've actually won the bid to do it in space, but they did win a bid to build ours.
No? Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. All right. We are 36 minutes over time. I love every minute of it. I love it. I do have a couple questions for you to kind of see us on our way out. The Paddlers Playbook. Tell me a little bit about it. Tell us what 2023 is going to look like for you guys.
Do we even know?
20.
It seems like you just kind of do it and just having fun
Yeah,
with it.
when we
That's coming
started
up.
this, honestly I fought with Drew, this guy here, quite a bit on just saying, dude, let it be organic. Let's not worry about, anything. Let's just do it and let it happen. See where it goes. And Drew is a mover and a shaker, bro. He's always and that's like you said, the yin and the yang. I don't give a shit. I'm like laid back. Whatever happens, happens. Look, I've got a busy day ahead of me tomorrow and a busy day the day after that. If I can make it, I can make it. If I can't, I can't. I'm sorry. That's kind of my flow, right? Drew is constantly like looking for the next best thing, laying out plans, getting all the analytics, trying to design, the next avenue to go down. And I'm constantly just like, let it be. I usually win that.
The yin and yang. Drew, I'm like you, man. Grinding. What's the next thing? What's the next angle?
He sent me an email and he was like, this dude is organized.
Yeah, I said you were organized by your email. I'm like, I'm not used to that. You were talking about texting you and giving you 15 minutes early and everything else. I'm like, damn, me and Chris are usually the ones late for our own show sometimes.
Yeah,
it's usually one or the other one.
We send people the links like 3 minutes before the show starts.
Yeah, but I mean, Chris was talking about that. We're organized where we've had that success because we've been so consistent on who we are and the show that we put out. People know that when they tune into our show, they may not know what the heck conversation that we're going to have or what's going on, but what they can tune in and they know is going to happen is the first 10 minutes, me and Chris are going to give you a recap of what's going on in our lives and what we've been going on and follow up some stuff about past guests. And then you're going to have Saltside Jess come on and talk about our partners. And then we're going to have our guests come on and we're going to interview our guests. And it's going to be the exact same type of format for all 77, 78 shows almost. And every once in a while we'll do a live.
We always focus on bringing some technical or it's usually technical content, man, from creators, people that are building the products that you buy in the store.
Yeah, I noticed that
honestly,
here.
We can't test everything. We can't get everything in our hands.
we always want to be learning something from our guests too. Like they've got to be able to offer us something that we don't know about and they are an expert in and they can inform our guests, because I think we've had the success we've had because me and Chris like to talk to people, but we more than like to talk to people, we like to interview people and learn more about their specialties and what they're good at and what has made them successful. Not necessarily that we want to emulate everything that they're doing. We just want to know, how did you get to this point? What steps did you take? Because there's little nuggets and stuff that you can take from everybody's episodes that's been on our show. I mean, we've had guys that are, great with YouTube, that are great with marketing, that are great with photography, that are great with a topwater bait. That we had one of the lead line designers from Berkeley on our show talking about the different types of line, down to a science.
That was super deep, man.
Yeah, it was stuff that we actually really, really got to learn about. So when we're setting up, 2023 and bringing on guests and things like that, we sit there and go, how did this person get to here? Or why are they considered the expert on this? Let's have them on to talk about it. We don't have it, out until March, but a few shows that we do have lined up. It's always, really, really popular as far as downloads and everything for us when we do talk about kayaks, as in what's new, what's coming out from Feel Free, what's coming out from Bonafide.
Tax season.
Yeah, what's coming out from Old Town. Yeah, we usually do that when everybody's got a little extra money. They're trying to get the best kayak, and we usually just call it like buying a fishing kayak remixed or something like that.
Your listener that asked the question, about his next step in the industry, what he's going to do next. I think it was like Wildflower or Wild something. I don't know what their name was. But they might want to listen to an upcoming episode with Robert Fields. Because on that episode, we're going to discuss, how do you market yourself in this industry?
Yeah.
Because he's probably one of the most successful people in marketing his own self.
Yeah, his personal brand.
Right. Yeah, his own personal brand, for sure. I mean, we know Bobby from the days whenever he held
Yeah,
a
we know
fish- a
Bobby
spinning
from-
rod upside down.
Before he was Bobby. we know Robert Fields when he was Bobby from Dallas. Like we know Rob for a while. We're gonna have Rob on. We're gonna have John Hipsher. He'll be on our next episode. He is the marketing rep for Yak Attack. So we're gonna get to talk about people who wanna be a part of a brand or want to get the attention of a brand, some of the do's and don'ts of working with some of the more major companies. We're going to talk about that. We're going to have Jameson Redding on. He has a great show. He's the head brand ambassador, marketing guy for Jackson Kayaks. And he has his own show. So we're going to talk to him about actual like filming, how it goes, because he was with Jim Salmons. I got to meet him and Jim down at PAC in Louisiana. I got to talk it up with him. So his is going to be more about like having your own fishing show, the challenges with that, how it is. Like, how many days are you filming to have that 15-minute show that you're putting on YouTube and all that content? So those are the 4 episodes that we have planned so far. But other than that, man, there's not a whole lot. Just working with our current partners, Real Sportswear, Mariner Sales, and Pure Fishing.
Right on. Well, guys,
See how he dropped that in there like that?
yeah, I like that. It was a nice segue.
Hey, that's 3 years of doing the show right there.
Yeah. No, I like it. I mean, we got the sponsors help make this stuff happen. So, I mean, we got US River Maps making this show happen tonight. This is bringing value, and a lot of us guys wouldn't be able to do it without our sponsors. So, thankful for them. So, if you're listening, guys, thank you, Chris, Drew. Thank you for your time tonight, man. It was an absolute freaking blast. You guys are so easy to talk to, and I hope in the future I can have you guys back on. But where do they find you? Just wherever you get your podcast from, the Paddlers Playbook.
Everywhere, buddy.
That's it.
Yeah, Spotify.
Everywhere.
Just not really on YouTube right now. That's it.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
We constantly fail at YouTube.
Yeah,
Constantly.
if you do Facebook, search out the Redfish Network. That is our Facebook page. We're kind of rebranding as far as the Facebook group goes. I mean, you can find the Paddlers Playbook page where we post every new episode. But if you want to get interactive talk, I've been doing a lot of polls and stuff on there. Go find the Redfish Network on Facebook. Make sure you answer the questions, though, because we do not want any bots in there. So answer the questions so we don't get spammed all the time, because we want it to be a great group for anyone interested in redfish.
I don't really Facebook, so just listen to Drew, what he has to say about the Facebooking.
I would have bet money on that after having a conversation with you that you don't do the Facebook.
I'm on there, and I post personal stuff, and my platform or my page is open. It's public. Anybody can get on there. You can look me up, Chris Lewis. I like Instagram because there's a lot less BS to deal with, and it's easy to find me on there, Mr. Goodfish. And then Drew, your personal page is on there. You recently changed it from Mr. Buckets to
Redfish Drew.
Redfish Drew.
There you go.
Chris gets on Facebook when he's emotional, both good and bad. When he's happy, he makes a post. Yeah. Like you'll see him, he's holding his grandson. He's happy, he's excited. And then when he's like old man yelling about the people on his yard, he'll make a post about that too.
There's no people on my yard. There's cows.
Easter famine.
I'm down with the cows. Cows are good to me. They don't talk back. They don't complain about politics or religion. They just walk by and go, moo.
There you go.
We appreciate you having us on, man.
No, it's good.
We need to get you on our schedule next.
Oh, I would love it. I would be honored to do that. The longest show I've ever had was this one. Right and man, people are still hanging around. I love it. So if you're listening in, thank you so much. Please hit that like button. Help get this video on YouTube, get in more reach. Thank you, Drew, Chris. You guys freaking rock as well. And go check them out at the Paddlers playlist. And I know I'm going to go head over there and get those notifications as well.
The playlist, too. Check out the playlist on the Paddlers Playbook.
Playbook. My goodness. I ruined it, didn't I?
No, it's all right, man.
I was getting ready.
We've kept you on here for an hour and 45 minutes, man.
Playbook.
You probably ready to
Paddlers
cuddle.
Playbook.
I'm
So
toast.
sit back, relax, and enjoy the paddle.
All right, see you guys.
Adios.